Hey folks, welcome back to another rousing episode of Whining About Pest Control. I am Shelby Hartzer of 360 Pest Consulting, and it's turning a bit cold outside. Many areas, our outdoor pests aren't really much of an issue right now. However, our indoor pests continue. And that's pretty much what I said in the last episode, but don't leave yet because we're going to talk about a different set of pests. We're talking about those holiday accidental invaders today. Nothing says winter like a mulled wine, so I'm drinking a white mulled wine today. Cheers. Very nice. When we're talking about those accidental or occasional invaders, we typically think of those as the summer pests, the warm season insects that build up outside and then they accidentally or occasionally get into structures. They're not necessarily attracted to that, nor can they breed or develop on the inside, but they're still there to bug people. It's not often that we think of these in the colder months, but we should. Look around at nearly any structure you walk into, home, apartment, shop, hotels, stores, hospitals, whatever. What are you looking at? You're looking at tons of holiday decorations, and with that, lots of live plants. I just read that the White House has 77 Christmas trees they just put up. Yeah. You're also going to see things like poinsettias, Christmas cactuses, cacti, cactuses, evergreen trees. I always see those little rosemary plants trimmed into that little tree shape. And of course, we have those live, fresh cut Christmas trees. So much more that's coming in. All these plants are being brought into structures, and they didn't start there. They came from somewhere else. In the case of most of those smaller plants, it's probably going to be a greenhouse. In the case of the larger trees, they probably came from outside. This presents two different types of accidental pest invasions. Plants coming from those greenhouses or those indoor nurseries can really have a multitude of hitchhikers. Insects like aphids, whiteflies, scales, fungus gnats. You can go back and watch the episode we just did on fungus gnats. And other arthropods like mites. All of these can potentially spread to the other indoor plants, and then the problem can multiply. Even if they don't spread, the customers might still see those little bugs, and of course, the flying little bugs, and they want that taken care of. There's always a few news clips this time of year, I love it, about the pests coming in on those live trees. There's a number of insects that could be infesting pine trees and other evergreen type of trees, but the most common one you hear about on the news is the mantids. The adults lay their eggs, neat little piles, little egg sacs, and they're supposed to hatch out in spring. Well, what happens when you bring a tree that was in the outside, in the cold, inside where it's warm? Well, the little eggs think it's spring, and those eggs are going to hatch out. Even more fun, there's usually at least about 50 eggs in each of those egg cases, and they're going to hatch. And then people are panicking and calling you about all the little bugs infesting their house. I haven't whined about control yet, so let's get to that. Honestly, by the time you get called, it's kind of too late. You can do a crack and crevice, maybe do a spot treatment with some residual, but it's not going to be really effective. Your best treatment is going to be inspection. Finding those plants that are infested, that they've just brought in, and explaining to the customer that no, there are no approved treatments for these pests on these plants. Take them out of the building. Okay, if it's fungus gnats, you can replace the soil. It can still work. But for the rest, they're feeding on those live plants. And you can tell them in the future that they need to inspect those plants before they bring them inside so that we can prevent this problem from happening in the first place. In larger accounts, this gets to be a lot more difficult. We're talking hundreds, maybe even thousands of potted plants, poinsettias, trees. In these situations, make sure they are not overwatering the plants. In fact, they need to be underwatering the plants. You can install some glue board monitors, and some strategically placed ILTs can have some effect and keep those populations in check, but it's not going to solve the problem. No one wants this kind of holiday present, but it will inevitably get delivered to your customers and not in a pretty box with a bow. So they're going to be whining to you about it, and you can whine to me about it too. Whine to me about your holiday pest problems or any of your pest problems you're having. Contact me anytime. And in the meantime, don't miss out on any of this great whining. Rate, review, and subscribe down below. And of course, we've posted some additional helpful information down there that you can click on and read. Until next time, cheers to our holiday occasional invaders.